Get Into Gate. This is episode 93. We're talking Stargate SG-1. Long-term fans introducing a new fan to the show, that being Rhys. Part of the full team here. My name is Mitch. We got Maddie. We got Brendan. Hello,
Hi.
Rhys.
Yeah, g'day.
And joining us once again, Lincoln. What's doing?
G'day. Oh, mate.
Welcome back.
Back again.
Thanks, boys.
The fifth man.
It's great to have you back.
The fifth man.
You know, and you said that last week. We
Yeah.
need one. We need one for next week. I still didn't think you'd come through. I early record this week. I get an early text message at 4:05 this morning and said, "What time are you leaving?" And I'm like,
So much faith.
"I'll be surprised."
See?
Yeah. And it's not a fifth man, it's the fifth man.
Yeah, good
Thank
call.
you, Rhys. Thank you, Rhys.
Absolutely
You're-
right.
yeah, you like the O'Neill mixed with Tilk. I love it.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Ultimate compliment.
Seriously, if you said that to someone, that is the ultimate compliment. You remind me of like Jack O'Neill mixed with Tio. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Did we just become best friends?
I got goosebumps.
It's like, hang on a second. He's going to a
Chills.
bathroom,
Literal chills.
stare at yourself in the mirror, and it's like, holy shit. It's happened.
This is it. It's the next level in my life.
Culmination.
You just walk into a con, you just start like walking out like Conor McGregor. Just
Strutting
like,
through.
More like Habib now, not Conor McGregor.
Yeah, pretty cool.
You know, whatever. All right, we are talking the fifth man. Surprise, surprise. So let's go back and see what the old synopsis has to say, and then we'll throw it over to Rhys and get his thoughts on the episode. O'Neill stays behind in an alien world to tend to the wounded Lieutenant Tyler, the latest member of SG-1. What? But when the rest of the team return to the command center, they discover that Lieutenant Tyler doesn't exist. Will this latest case of alien mind games close SGC down for good?
Yes. Final
Yeah,
episode.
Spoiler alert.
Final episode, the fourth episode of season 5.
They bloody
All
tried.
over.
There's too many footholds. There's too many.
Too many entities.
Rhys
Too
will
many
now go home
spreadsheets.
today, checks out all of his DVDs he's got for the next 6 seasons. They're all blank. We got you.
Wouldn't that be
We
great?
got you.
Recordable DVDs.
Yeah.
I paid $70 for this.
Here, record Farscape on these.
We got JB Hi-Fi involved to stock them, like the fake ones at all your local JB Hi-Fi.
Great guys. Finally, they sponsored the show, so we
Great,
got
great people.
It's funny
Yeah.
because I bought them when I went down to Sydney, so that's a hell of a prank.
That's how deep it went, mate.
Nationwide. Nationwide.
Just in case that guy from Get Into Gate comes in.
Want to show that commitment from like Dumb and Dumber 2, where it's just like 20-year prank that he's just thrown on him. We were so ready to take this to the grave.
Gotcha!
Oh, shit.
So what do you think, Rhys?
Oh, yeah, I really like this one. Yeah, the start where they came back through the gate, and they're like, "Yeah, Lieutenant Tyler," and Hammond's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and then just the badass moment when they're saying to Hammond, "Oh, we're going back, sir," and he's like, "The
that's
hell you
sick.
are." I was like, "That."
Yeah, even
was the
Carter,
bomb.
like she had the gun ready, like "F off, we're going." They're like, "Ammon," and they're just pointing
Yeah.
friggin' machine guns at him. I'm like, that's hectic.
But yeah, it was sort of a new spin on something that we've seen previously, except Ergo wasn't, or Ergo was in their heads, whereas this Tyler was an actual being sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
True that.
I think they played it out really well, and yeah, it was really, really entertaining. Really good. It's early, and I've gone blank. Good.
Well, it did. Yeah, you're right. Like it reminded me a little bit of.
If anyone
it
would like
was-
to send a thesaurus to Rhys at Get Into Gate.
I thought that was a dinosaur for a second.
If anyone would like to send a dictionary to Brendan, you can send it to Brendan at Get Into
Yeah,
Gate.
send me all your dicks, dictionary pics.
Yeah, for me, you're right. It reminded me of Foothold when they came back, because we've seen this before where they come back, there's some shit that just doesn't seem right. And obviously for us, the audience, had it not have been the detail of, he's totally the fifth member of SG-1, you're like, okay, well, we would know about that rather than after the fact. But that could have been an interesting way of actually introducing the audience to a fifth member. Like, imagine if they did that, what they actually had
Like a trainee
written in.
recruit.
A fifth member of SG-1. We find out through this because they remember it, but then something has happened to the SGC. But other than that little detail, you back and forth, you're like, hang on, are the SGC? Is something wrong with them, or is something wrong with the SG-1? But so it would have been interesting if it was like a minor detail that we would have actually not known who was right and who was wrong, because like the likes of Carter and Daniel, less so Teal because he doesn't say anything, was so determined to go back, like they were ready to be insubordinate, and you're like, whoa, like you guys got to calm down.
I think it would have been a nicer open had we not have seen O'Neill and Tyler at that point, because you wouldn't, as an audience, you may not be aware of it.
Well, and it was funny. I was had dinner with our Army advisor Craig the other day, and he was chatting about what episodes were coming up and stuff like that. And I mentioned that we were doing The Fifth Man, and he was saying how much he loved it. And I was like, oh yeah, I liked the first time I watched it, but I'm not a big fan of it in the rewatch. And we chatted, and I mentioned, I was like, it's weird. I seem to like the episodes where we find out along with SG-1, like we're the fifth member of SG-1, and I hate it when we know something that SG-1 doesn't. It kind of it's a weird thing. And then the funny thing is, then we came to watch this episode, and I was listening to the audio commentary, and have a listen to this.
It's actually interesting this episode came about because we needed a script that required absolutely no stage builds. We needed a script that was set on our standing sets, which is the base, and locations, and we needed it in like 3 weeks or something like that.
So this was the pitch, what you just heard. I remember you pitching this to Brad in the hallway.
Yeah. Because he came up to us and said, hey, we need a script.
It doesn't require build.
What are you guys doing this week?
Yeah.
And,
that's right. And then you had to quickly write it.
We had the idea. We had been kicking the idea around for a while of a story. The idea was that all of our team, all of SG-1 would think one thing, and everybody else, including the audience, would think another thing.
Which is what we don't usually do that on the show. It's one of our formula rules is that the audience is not to know more than our heroes, so that they can be sympathetic to their viewpoint. Yeah. But in this particular case, you used that device to your advantage, where we knew that there was no fifth team member of SG-1.
So you played me, Stargate. Because here I was thinking I'd found some really cool kind of subtext that I was like vibing on. It's like, no, that's just one of their formula rules that they do for every fucking episode.
That's cool, but it's a good rule.
Yeah.
That was Joe Malozzi and Paul Mully talking to Peter DeLuise in that one.
Good blokes.
But yeah, I think Joe and Paul, I don't think they really care too much about rules.
No, I think more than anyone else, they break them. I mean, they do more sort of Earthbound episodes than any other writers.
And when I go back into the entire season, and now I'm kind of looking at who wrote them, all like the really interesting ones that stick out there, Window of Opportunity, things like this that I'd like a bit different, like Ripple Effect even in season 8, that sticks out for me. Those guys wrote. They don't really care about the rules too much.
Point of no return. They don't even care if, it's a great episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
The rules.
Supposed to write good TV.
For me, it was really a case of like two stories put into one episode, where one I really didn't care about, and it was I guess what we're speaking about in the synopsis, the idea of who knows what, who's under this mind control. Is it SGC or is it SG-1, the Lieutenant Tyler stuff? Because we have seen that sort of thing before, where our guys don't know something and SGC do, or vice versa. For me, the most interesting part of this was the sub-story about what's old mate dickhead from the new government representative? Simmons, where he shows up and it's like, and he starts
to think about that. Should have been out of the game years ago, but he can't go home because he hates his wife.
Already, 2 Jim Carrey movies. Just like we're less than 10 minutes in. This is going to be a good episode. But I actually like that side of the episode where there's starting to become some accountability. And while I always side with SG-1 or more so the SGC overall, you start to understand Simmons' point where he's like, you guys are starting to get overtaken by aliens all the time, whether with your mind control, and you're starting to, there's some dangerous shit that could be going on in this place. And then and Daniel's like, come on, his context was, we know what we're doing. But then you look from the outside, you're like, well, hang on. If you're reading all of these reports from your missions, there's a lot of shit that goes wrong with you guys. Like, we trust you as an audience because we follow you every week. But there's a lot of bad shit that goes on that you guys just manage to, like, through the skin of your teeth, win the missions.
You say that Simmons' point. I'm pretty sure Kinsey brought that up in season 1.
Yeah, but I've never liked Kinsey. Simmons is new. I'll hate him next week.
Give him a chance.
I do side with what I guess his point, Kinsey, but it's how he goes about it. Where Simmons is a little bit more subtle, like he's taking baby steps, whereas Kinsey, I think, just comes out and goes, "Go yo, vote me for president."
I was just trying to bring up politics. That's all.
Well, so I appreciate that. I think we've managed to go almost the whole season without bringing it up.
So what exactly was his aim here? Like, obviously, it came out that he is working for someone.
Mm-hmm.
You can
or
assume
is that-
who.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I just said his name.
Yeah. But is his is their whole thing that they want to get Hammond out so they can get someone else in?
I think
Yeah.
they're trying to get Hammond and the SG1 out so that they can
Right.
put their own sort of people in and their own
Get some
facilitators.
sick
Ultimately,
tech.
Hammond's in charge, but he's heavily influenced by SG1, and time again, they prove themselves to have the moral compass over top of anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, if you can replace the flagship team with someone more sympathetic to their cause, then you have more of an influence over the SGC and maybe who commands it. Because if they piss off, then Hammond could be like, it's not what it's not what it used to be. This and that. You know what? I don't want this anymore because I can't control what these guys are doing. Blah blah blah. I'm out. They go, cool. Hammond's gone, or you find a way to make him disappear anyway.
Well, look at Shades of Grey in season 3 when they sort of converted that SG2 leader, and he was like leaving little secret bits of tech that we'd picked
Chrome
up.
Makepeace.
That's it on planets, so that the NID could pick it up. And it's like, well, if the NID had their own sort of people running the SGC, they wouldn't have to be so sort of covert with all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And
I guess with
get their agenda across.
that general radiation, that episode when they actually did get Hammond
General
out.
Mustache.
Yeah, General Mustache, General Fallout. What do we call him?
Oh,
General Pullout. But he's they succeeded in that episode essentially.
Yeah.
and got him kicked out or blackmailed him, stole his grandchildren. But Hammond left, and then they got him in, disbanded SG1, and then that was sort of their goal that came to fruition.
Yeah.
It just so happened that they had to go and blow up a planet and ruin it all for him.
Well, no, and then also we blackmailed Kinsey. Remember, Mayborn
Yeah,
got all
that's right.
that information on the
Yeah,
disk and
that's
stuff from Kinsey's computer. So we're holding that over Kinsey.
Yeah, and I still don't reckon that
So-
floppy disk would have worked.
It's frozen.
Yeah, Mayborn could have just been sitting at the computer just really bullshitting, and Kinsey's like, they've got me. And he's like, really? I've got this? Oh,
But,
what an idiot. Keep going.
Apparently, when this episode was written, it was originally they were going to bring back Mayborn, but then they realized, oh, he's not really an adversary anymore. He's kind of like that. He's almost he's like a begrudging ally. Like we've worked with him, and he's kind of helped us out. So that's why they created Simmons, and also because he was in last week's episode. So they were like, oh, well, let's just bring back that recurring sort of new villain.
He was really good. I really liked that actor, and just the little things he did, like when he when he held up that photo of Daniel's ex-girlfriend, and he's like, "Who is this?" and then just drops it on the table. I'm just like little shit like
Well,
that.
it's
Where I'm
funny-
like,
You wanna
"Hey,
murder
funny
him?
you
that is
say that.
annoying, but he does it so well."
Well, it's funny you say
trolling
that
him.
is because in the audio commentary, Peter DeLuise says the actor actually didn't want to hold up that photo, but Peter DeLuise is like, no, Annalise Plowman is so beautiful, and we have that photo of her. Hold it up to camera, like so that we can get a shot of Annalise Plowman in there. And the actor who plays Simmons is just like, you really want me to hold this up to camera? And he's like, yes.
Why didn't he want it?
I don't know, because maybe he just
He's
thought
an
it didn't make-
actor.
it didn't
Don't
make
take the
sense.
focus off my face.
Probably.
This is my
So it's-
close-up, Mr. DeLuise.
Well, he's already got to share it with Shanksy, and Shanksy would have commanded so much of the close-up.
That's true.
He's like, stuff it. I've got 10% of screen time. I need to. This photo's taking up at least 2.
He had all the almond muffins at brunch.
So I love that you picked up on that, because that was obviously just a moment that was sort of happened like on the day where it's like the director was kind of pushing the actor one way, the actor didn't quite want to do it. And I guess that was his subconscious or conscious way of kind of trying to get rid of that
Yeah,
photo.
it was-
and for you, that was a juicy moment.
Yeah,
so.
that was one. It was one of the few ones. Like he just sold it real well. Where he's like, "I've got no time for your bullshit. Just concentrate on what I'm saying and give me the answers so I can
it's
go
like he's
home."
got so much distaste for SG1 and Hammond, but
Yeah.
it's like this is the second week in a row when he's back trying to sort of get them out. But then he's playing that disdain like he
I
doesn't want
think
to be there.
the contrast between him and Kinsey for me is that it doesn't matter what you say to Kinsey, he'll walk out thinking he won. Whereas Simmons, you're like, SG1 made a lot of good points and shut him down, and it was satisfying as a viewer to be like, yeah, take that mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Nothing more satisfying than when he's interrogating Teal'c.
Oh my
so good.
god!
Can we just talk about that for a second?
Absolutely.
Oh, have you got that audio, Matty?
Please.
No.
Oh, that was the best moment.
Pure
of this.
jizz moment.
It would
That
be-
was that's probably one of the best moments of
Yeah.
SG1 so far for me.
I think Mitchell and I had watched that together years ago, and we watched it and just frothed out. We had to rewind it like 3 times just so we could keep watching it. Because when he says, if I was still, of Agent of Apostle, you'd know it. He's like, really? He's like, it would become immediate. And he says he's
Immediately apparent.
Because I will not hesitate to kill you where you sit. And you see him lose a kilo immediately. And then Teal'c sort of looks slowly directly towards him, sort of like,
soiled myself.
or could I? And he's like,
He's lost it.
Maddie's about to lose a kilo out of his mouth and just spit it out.
I thought it was safe to take a drink of water, and then Link's like, he just lost a kilo. And I'm like, what the
I like last week, Brennan talking about his AB, like the repeat button on your DVD. Was Carter in a tank top in the mirror? For me and Lincoln, it was watching this episode with Teal'c.
God,
Like,
yeah.
oh, God, threaten him again, Teal'c.
Don't think I haven't used it on Teal'c.
Oh, no.
You don't need the digital zoom for that.
no, it's just either that or the Tanith beat where the camera pans across him, his jaw clenching just continuously.
Yeah.
It's like, I could watch that on repeat all day. That's like my laptop screensaver. Just continue. It's like a boomerang of the jaw clench. So good.
See, I'm surprised to hear that was your favourite part, Rhys. I thought your favourite part would have been Teal'c with his new glider wing cannon, just like hanging off the hip. Just like
That was pretty cool, and still not as good as the over-the-shoulder staff weapon blast. In the first one.
Imagine an over-the-shoulder staff cannon. Jesus.
He's got one of those in his pants.
Well, I feel like
You know what I'm talking about. That's what I meant.
You want to see my over-the-shoulder staff cannon?
there's that broken part of the wing cannon that they've intentionally kind of left there to make it look like they've just snapped it off. It's like they could easily cut a little curve out of that, and he could just rock it up on his shoulder.
Oh, totally.
I feel like him
Bazooka.
holding it to the side, though. It's like Teal'c, he's like, we constantly find out, like last week, that he's watched Star Wars. I feel like before this episode, he just watched Judgment Day, T2.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's thinking of Arnie on top of the building just with the chain gun, just mowing people down. He's like, I can do this.
He obviously had that piece of seatbelt ready to go for whenever it was going to happen. Like, there's no seatbelts in a glider, so where do they get that strap from?
Well, I mean, that's probably what Teal'c carries in his pack.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need a lot of the shit that everyone else needs. So he's like,
He's not carrying around a med kit.
it's like his his just in case
Or
packs.
food.
Like,
He just walks around the base grabbing random shit. I'm going to take this.
I'll take that. If I ever
take
need
this.
to have a cannon hanging off me, this piece of strap will work perfectly. I'll put that in my top pocket next to my radio.
takes it out of O'Neill's car or something, so he doesn't have a passenger seat anymore. What happened to this? I do not know.
On base, he steals like shit that he absolutely doesn't need. Like one day, like he'll go on holiday and they have the cleaners come in, and he's just got like 100 staplers, in his room, and he's stolen all the forks from the cafeteria, but no one says anything to him because they're so afraid.
Goes back to Chulak and starts dealing him and stuff because to them it really means a lot. They're like, whoa.
They got forks. There's a crazy
It'll
fork
staple
trade in Chulak.
Becomes a new currency.
SG1 go back. They're all wearing them as necklaces and shit.
Now, when you brought up Craig earlier, I thought he was going to mention how awesome O'Neill was in his guerrilla warfare tactics. Him versus 20 dudes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I love that shit.
I'm sure he got hard over
He
that.
counted 15, mate.
Yeah, but there were more. I
I
counted 20.
More what?
O'Neill can't count.
Yeah, because he had 2 claymores and a grenade.
Yeah.
And at least three dudes went out on each of those.
And I got a little nitpick with that. The grenade tripwire, like that blew up as soon as he tripped that wire. It wasn't a 3 or 5 second delay like a grenade does, or was that a special grenade?
Oh, special grenade, mate. Special grenade.
He tweaked it, obviously. Yeah,
Well,
Tom.
apparently-
He's got skills,
Well, he
mate.
was, before he became O'Neill, he was MacGyver. So.
It's funny you say that. In the audio commentary, Peter DeLuise actually specifies that because there's a lot of O'Neill going and laying traps, but there's like the inserts where it cuts to just his hands moving. Yeah. That's actually Sila's hands doing that. But the reason Peter DeLuise did it is because that's what MacGyver was known for, is MacGyver would be doing stuff, but it'd cut to an insert of him fiddling with whatever it was. So Peter DeLuise was going like, let's just go full MacGyver on this
Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's
How many
there,
times did he
why
just
wouldn't
run
you?
and jump over that wall? You're
Yeah.
right, Tyler.
Yes!
It's like sick.
I think I loved it because we've never seen him have to do anything like that by himself. Whenever he is laying traps or he's surveying the place or he's in a position to defend, he is always with Teal'c or Carter
Yeah.
or something.
Delegating.
This, he was with an injured guy that was giving him nothing, and he was covering some distance, like he was going to survey, come back. Like you're right, it was
Carried
him.
him all the way.
Yeah, he was back to
Jesus,
his
you're
prime.
heavier than you look.
I tell you
He doesn't
what,
look.
throughout that
heavy.
whole episode, I'm watching O'Neill, RDA, going, "Oh, I hope his knees are all right."
Me too.
Every
help
single time they'll always just talk about how bad his knees are and this and that, but he just not only did he carry Tyler, he carried the whole episode.
Yeah.
Like there
Oh,
was so
he's
much
good.
where he just had it on him.
Yeah.
And he was just chatting away, and he doesn't overplay anything. You know, I remember, you know, how you guys always say in the director's commentaries or whatever, they'll say Amanda Tapping has a real problem if it's just her. It's really
Yeah.
shitty. Or
Yeah.
if it's just her and someone else, they need someone strong, or else
Yeah.
she overacts, whatever. But he goes the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He nails it
Yeah.
every time.
Because, yeah, like Mitch said, Tyler was giving him absolutely nothing. Like, couldn't even catch a walkie-talkie.
You just throw it at him and look and go, what are you doing?
What is this?
Because he's an alien. He's not used to shit like that.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's
So
doing.
funny.
But yeah, I love it. I love how you can sort of tell what's happening in O'Neill's head, but at the same time, you have no idea.
Yeah, you
It's
think
just
you
the
know what's
way
going on.
he acts and
Yeah.
talks, and then you're like,
Instinct and training.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
thinking
sick.
about the other day, you know how he goes, "Oh, we'll wait till the Jaffa go away," and I always think he always pronounces words wrong. And do you think he does that on purpose?
Yeah, it's an intentional form of disrespect.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's like Teal'c and Daniel are really the only ones who will pronounce it correctly, because that's, you know, obviously Teal'c's culture, but then, you know, Daniel's the, you know, the nerdy linguist and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like Hammond and O'Neill and a lot of the other humans, like especially the military, is their intentional way of just disrespecting the enemy.
But that's a good word. Like, I would feel like that would be the only word that he would get right. Like, it's one thing not to say Goa'uld, but just say Gould, as he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Daniel
would,
says that a few times.
yeah, he falls into it. And everyone around there, I'm like, that's fine. You know, it's easier than having the apostrophe and worrying about that. But I feel like one of his best friends is a Jafar. So when he comes, he goes, the Jaffa. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're
Yeah,
offending Teal'c a
But I
little
mean,
bit. Like,
we're all lifelong Stargate fans. Do we go to the movies and buy a box of Jafars? No, we go to the movies and buy a box of Jaffas.
yeah,
Like,
but I mean, you know, Teal'c's not a delicious treat.
Yeah, but when you
know?
watch Aladdin,
Yes,
are you
he
watching
is,
Well, I mean,
Jafar?
Yes, he is.
Teal'c,
You dog, back, you sick son of a bitch.
We'll circle back to that, but I just want to circle back to this first. Yes,
Circle
I'm with you.
Teal'c is a delicious chocolate
He
treat.
is the
Thank you
most
very
delicious
much.
treat ever.
He's not a little delicious treat.
No, but he's a
the
delicious
biggest
chocolatey
delicious
treat.
treat.
whole
you'll-
goddamn meal.
Oh, God.
But when you're watching Aladdin, you don't go, Jaffa, he's our man. He can do it great.
But that's Jafar. He's got an R on the end.
I never knew that, to be totally
Yeah,
honest.
Jafar's got an R on the end.
Everyone,
Again, who cares about the grammar?
Yeah, or spelling. It's
The
fine.
funny part where he takes that off was when he's getting back the Hathor episode when they think he's got a ghoul in his head. And
Yeah.
he comes down and he's like, all right, I got this. And he goes, he thinks I am one, right? And he goes down, he's like, Jaffa Cree. And the guy starts speaking in Gaul to him. He's like,
Yeah.
you heard me? I said Cree. And you're like, yes.
Hang on, you just said Cree before. You said Cree. It's totally different.
That's what they say.
I
Now-
like it how they didn't let him shave either in this. They're like, yeah, you can have the growth.
Oh,
He
did
just had a
they?
bit of stubble. I thought he had a
Ah.
goatee at one point, but it just doesn't grow there.
Yeah, I had the problem.
It was only like a day.
Yeah.
Like he's got mad growth.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you all brought up the amount of dead Jafar that were around, because
dude.
you weren't the only people that
It's like
noticed.
50.
It's at least
We
7.
we haven't done it in a while, but I'm bringing it back.
Gather round the fire.
Ah,
It's time
professional.
for another reading.
Here it comes
with
off.
high pitch.
Oh my god.
Made possible thanks to Matt Cormack sending us
Ooh.
through the.
I'll tell you, sorry, just while we're speaking about growth, he obviously hasn't shaved since the last time we had Graham.
Graham.
I love the beard.
looking
Hands
great.
rid,
mate.
isn't it?
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Manicured.
I think about downstairs because he's not wearing any pants, and he definitely hasn't shaved down there
No,
either.
there's no manscaping.
Oh, see, I can't see under the piano from here.
I'm under the
Consider
piano, by
yourself
the way.
lucky, mate.
Ooh.
DeLuise teasingly hangs his head in shame when he recounts his most vivid memory from the making of Fifth Man. We killed a lot of Jafar. We killed too many Jafar, apparently, he says. At the end of the episode, there was a shot of O'Neill and the rest of the guys walking towards the Stargate. There were dead Jafar on the ground because they were guarding the Stargate, and there was a battle. O'Neill had to walk around one of the fellas who was dead on the ground, and I got in trouble for showing that. I had to go to the how come room for that one. The powers that be said, why did you have him step over that dead guy? And I said, it's in the script. They took care of the guards. What were they supposed to do? Be gone or missing? It became a big issue. I was a bloodthirsty American director who liked dead bodies everywhere. deeply unaffected by the slur, Deloise goes on, if you recall in Wormhole Extreme, which is the upcoming 100th episode, when the Colonel, played by my brother Michael Deloise, has a kissing scene with the alien princess, he says, there's all these dead bodies here. I can't have a kissing scene with all these dead bodies. That was a direct result of the issue in The Fifth Man. The way they decided to deal with it in the end was by zooming in on the shot of O'Neill stepping over the Jafar so that you couldn't see what he was stepping over.
Graham's out.
See you, Graham.
Has someone got another $20?
That's just the budget. That's
10
the
more
budget.
seconds. Give me another 20
I think that's the longest we've ever gone. Graham's
good.
like, okay, I've given you an
Even
extra
Graham
5
got it.
seconds.
Thank you, Graham. Thanks, mate.
See,
Sorry.
buddy.
Asked if
mate.
there really is a how come
he's
room,
still
Peter
there,
Deloise replies, of course.
on
If the
overtime.
powers that be want to know how come you do this or how come you do that, you have to step into the how come room. We don't have a what are you thinking room at Stargate because that would be too big. The how come room is a manageable size.
I have a
have-
different cum room. Sorry.
Well done, sir. Well done. How come today?
I like the
Yeah.
idea that, like, just the amount of bodies, like, when you were describing that, just the like, they're having to step over them and around them. I think it's because I saw it on TV the other week, 300, like, where they're actually building the wall, and one of the Persians comes up and says how much they're going to, like, kill all these Greeks. And then that Persian guy realizes the wall that the 300 soldiers are building is made from dead Persians. Like, you imagine if, like, a fresh batch of Jafar show up 10 minutes ago on that episode and O'Neill's, like, building a new fort out of dead Jafar going, what? I did this by myself. And now I've got Teal'c with a side cannon here. Boom!
Resourceful.
What you going to do? Yeah, absolutely. I'm MacGyver.
I did I mean, I didn't do a head count, but I'm kind of estimating there was at least 50 Jafar that they killed.
Yeah.
And
Peter
there's only
DeLuise
4
had
of them.
12
Probably.
cameos.
Quick estimate. Yeah, but cannon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that cannon was like just like launching guys into the air like 5 at a time.
Yeah,
It was next level.
I think I wrote it down as the
P90s.
final battle. It ended up being like the second final, but when it was, you saw that great like crane shot and them just all like rushing in from the distance. I don't know whether it was like some really bad I just got shot acting or it was really bad editing, but like you'd see them get shot and it was almost like if you were playing, cowboys with your kids or something. It's like, all right, now I'm going to shoot you and then you got to fall down and then it's like, all right, bang, and they're like, now I'll hop down. It's like, no, it's a lot faster than that because you see like O'Neill
You're
shoot.
dead.
You saw
Your
the
limbs don't
sparks come off their Jafar armor, and then they'd be like, oh no, and they'd sort of like then kind of awkwardly fall down. And I'm like, is that where the editor is supposed to like cut to another shot, or is that just really, really bad?
I think
acting?
there's even one there where it's like he gets shot in the back by Teal'c. But then instead of falling
Yeah.
forwards like you would, he like falls to the
Towards the
side
back.
or something like that. And it's like, no, that's not how that would happen.
They really want to milk it.
Yeah.
They really want to milk it.
Yeah.
They just to sort of go, oh, this is my moment.
It's a great shot. Django Unchained, where like Jamie Foxx from the top of the staircase like shoots, I don't know who's some bloke, like point blank front on, and as he shoots him with this giant like cannon of a pistol, he flies sideways into another room.
yeah.
It's like, I get that it would have the power, but probably not the bending from wanted power.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to shoot you in the face, but it's going to come at you from the other room in the
I'm
side.
going to curve this bullet.
Made me laugh that bit, but also it annoyed me.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Like,
it
oh,
was
God,
bad.
you're so close to finish this movie. I don't need this to be a nitpick that I've got. Come on.
Yeah, no, we just did a war film and we had to learn how they go, we got to teach you how to die properly. And it sounds
It's like, how do you know? You've never done it.
Yeah.
So you had to,
Hey,
you
I've
finish
killed
off
a
by
lot of
shitting
people.
yourself?
Well, our military advisor has spent over 20 or 30 years in the service, and they actually showed us this video, which he's like, look, it had been leaked online, and then he like managed to show us. He's like, this is a actual video of someone getting shot by a sniper.
Bullshit.
Nah.
Oh,
And so this person has went to go take some soldiers with an RPG, and he...
Sorry, whenever you say that, you've got to be in Call of Duty. RPG!
Yeah. Or Olympus
Always-
Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Gerard Butler with a mixture of a couple of accents in one.
RPG!
What did you just say, Gerard?
Yeah. What?
We can't understand you.
Stop talking out the side of your mouth. Sorry, what?
Just making mental note to work on Gerard Butler accent.
Oh, no.
Combination of 2 different accents. Oh,
How's it sound now as we stand?
Oh, yeah.
We need a before and after
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
mate.
yeah.
The before
say
is
the most-
what we said in the other episode, so that's fine.
Well, give us the most classic one. Give him. He's a Scotsman putting on an English accent as a Greek god in 300. Give us This Is Sparta right now.
Nah, it's fine.
Come on.
No,
Come on.
I'm good.
You can do it.
I need that audio. Who was it? Who are we going to get to send it into us? Johnny. Was it Johnny Grimmerson? We're going to get to send us in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still need that. I need that as a.
Makes you think of when Family Guy paid out Liam Neeson. They're like, Liam Neeson's a cowboy, and they're like trying to pay out his accent.
Do you know that little gag in Family Guy is the reason they got him in 1,000 Ways to Die in the West? He said to Seth MacFarlane, he said, "Okay, I'll be in your movie, but I want to use my own accent."
That's right.
So that's why he's like an Irishman in the Wild West. In
Mitch,
1,000
when you
Ways to
told
Die
me
in
that
the
one, I was
West.
just like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's what I want.
So you learnt to die properly.
Well, we all had to watch this video of this dude getting killed, and he said every notion that you have has been of someone getting shot and dying and everything is been really Hollywoodized, if that's even a proper word. But
Absolutely
they
it is.
said everyone wants to sort of milk that death thing, and he's like, to be honest, go 100% in the other direction.
Yeah.
He said, this dude, and he shows this video, and he shows it to us in normal time, and then he slows it down, and this dude sort of runs into the middle of the road, takes a knee, and he doesn't do it slow either. He just runs. As soon as he takes the knee, he gets shot 3 times within the space of half a second.
Wow.
The first one goes through his chest and ricochets off the ground behind him. You see the spark, and he was going frame by frame. And as he was going, like after the first bullet hit, the next one hit him through the side of the head, and before his body hits the ground, he gets shot another time in the head.
Shit.
But it was just this thing of going, turn the off switch on a toy. Essentially,
just
like
went limp.
it just crumbled.
Yeah.
He
Toy
was literally.
Story.
He went. Yeah.
Could have just watched Toy Story. But no, you got to see this guy getting shot 3 times in the head.
Woody, when Andy will come into the room or something like that.
Yeah.
That was
it.
just
Lincoln's
literally
out there,
Now
dressed
when
in his khaki in the jungle. I am Woody.
That's it.
I am Woody.
Now when I go to watch
Reach
Lincoln's
for the
movie,
sky.
first, every time someone collapses, no, I'm just gonna think, Andy's coming. Andy's coming.
Yeah, and it's that. And then, so every time you sort of see these things where you were just saying, like the shot through the back, but somehow managed to jump to the side and do a triple somersault with a twist on it. It was just like, okay. The director's obviously going, stuff it.
I feel
Why?
like-
Because America.
I feel like that guy who taught you all that clearly isn't a father, because Brendan and I would just be like a 3-year-old at the shops. It's like, let's go. Boom. Collapse on the ground, and then you have to pull them like an injured soldier on the battlefield. You will drag them down aisle 8 at Coles.
Fireman's
and
carry.
they'll just be happy. I'll get dragged. I don't care. I'll lick this ground.
They're just
If
going full Gandhi, just passive resistance.
Oh my god, they're the worst. I'm like, you know what you do? You going full Woody from Toy Story 2.
Now, we were asked in our mailbag a few weeks ago what our other favourite sci-fi shows and stuff were, and Mitch, you mentioned you really enjoyed X-Files.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you might get a kick out of a little bit of trivia that Peter DeLuise gave us during the auto commentary.
This episode takes place in a place we refer to as Red Rock Canyon. Episodes New Ground and First Commandment took place here as well. And this is called Red Rock Canyon because the rock has been painted red by the X-Files to simulate the desert rust. And it was left like that for the X-Files, and every movie after that has taken advantage of that desert rust look.
Wow.
Geez, they use some pretty high-tech or heavy-duty paint.
Yeah, to hold out that long.
Lead-based. It's outside. It's fine.
Mad colour bond. There's all these ads on TV going, rust-proof for 5 years or something like that.
That
Jeez.
Wattle Solar Guard.
Yeah, what are these guys using?
Yeah.
Paint a rock.
Geez, how much power do the X-Files? They show up and they're like, okay, we're painting this whole
Yeah.
canyon red.
Here's like this beautiful natural canyon.
Yeah.
Let's just paint it.
Oh, it's nothing on the indigenous people of this country. Their paintings have lasted thousands of years.
Very
That's true.
So
That's true.
Very true.
rock based. How awesome do the Riols look? Riols?
Yeah, real.
Yeah, the
Oh, that was so cool, man.
Yeah.
That shot where he just like touches O'Neill's head, and then O'Neill's like, "Whoa!"
mad dreadies.
Yeah.
It was like
it's
slow-mo.
It's like a
Yeah,
skeleton with
I was like,
dreadies.
why is your hair moving in slow motion? Look like an alien version of the twins from the Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah.
They were cool.
Underwater.
And I'm like, I want to see you guys show up more, just so I can like. It's such a different looking alien for this show.
But then he
The
starts.
CGI version, which costs too much.
Yeah. Then he starts running through the bush, and you're like,
And that ruins
Yeah,
it.
Gumby.
It's like watching
Totally
E.T.
Gumby.
run.
the actual Gumby.
Yeah.
Where's Pokey?
I think the bit that makes it for me is where he actually goes, "I'll give you a glimpse," touches his temple like pretty hard, and then you see O'Neill's reaction before you see the CGI.
Yeah.
So you're like, "Oh shit, something's coming."
Yeah.
And that was super close up. So you're like, "Oh, what the." You know, it's like, I remember watching that episode like 2 a.m. because I'd got the box set and I just charged through, and got to that point and I was already jittery, and that freaked me the out that bit.
What I
Especially
want to
like, that
know.
was so unexpected too. That
Yeah.
face, like that was
Yeah.
the last thing you would think is like a skeleton with
Dreadlocks.
dreadies.
Because you almost expect for it to cut back, and it's like that same actor just with like
With prosthetic or
like
something.
a
Yeah.
chalk
Or
sort of
you'll
paint.
see
So he's
you'll see him change, or
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
Oh,
Looks
yeah,
like one of those
metamorphosis.
vagina faces or something like that. Like, really humanized, but just with
Well-
some big difference that
It's funny you-
separates him from O'Neill.
The
It's
Elephant
funny you
Man.
say that, Lincoln, because what I was concerned about, I was trying to think about the logistics of it, is back on the base, Janet has Teal'c's jacket with some kind of odd yellow like discharge in a spray pattern on his jacket. So how did Tyler do that? We never
come and
established.
explain, Ruth.
Yeah, how did how did Tyler?
we created
he
it
had
for
to
this episode.
get it onto all 4 of SG1 so that they would all believe who he was.
Mad super jizz.
They're all asleep.
And then
They're all
obviously-
asleep in the camp, and he just runs like,
Well, and obviously he
It's a
didn't.
defense mechanism.
there's no
It's like
sexual
those-
build up.
it's
It's
like those,
aggressive,
Jurassic Park, the dinosaur.
like a skunk.
The
Like,
the more vicious it is, the more I,
Well,
Potent.
and obviously he had to take. Obviously he'd used it a lot because he had to take a break because he had none left to use on all the Jafar that were chasing him.
yeah, that's why.
I think that's what he would
couldn't
have
move. He
done.
was
I'm
so
trying.
tired.
I'll injure my
Just
leg.
come 4 times. In
that's
10
not my
minutes.
leg.
He was like the after. It's like the after effects of the guys in Orgasmo when they come 3 times in like 5 seconds, and it just like renders them immobile.
That's not my leg, and that's not an injury. That's rub burn.
That scene from Scary Movie where Anna Faris is like plastered to the
roof.
ceiling.
Yeah. You know, I
I
remember
thought-
desperate. Sorry, just from that. I remember being so desperate to go and see Scary Movie, but I wasn't 15 yet, and it's rated MA 15 plus for us here in Australia. And so my dad had to take me to go see Scary Movie. Like, I am so every movie. If we go, like Lincoln and I were talking about movies, and it's like, okay, would this be good for dad? It's like most of the time, that 95% the answer is no. It's not for your dad.
That's just John Wayne. No.
Now, in the top sort of like 1% of movies that are definitively don't even bring up if you're in the same suburb as dad is probably Scary Movie. So I think at that moment.
Did you enjoy the movie at that point? Then?
See, I was like, because I sat separately to him. He's like, you go and sit up the front. I think so he knew, so he could leave whenever he wanted.
Yeah.
It wouldn't disrupt me. And he said that was the only thing that gave him like a tiny little chuckle. Was like just shooting Anna Faris to the ceiling, and then his whole body just like
And I suppose
becoming mummified. And Dad's apparently
That's
just
why
went,
it's a full skeleton.
and that was enough. And then he left the cinema.
well, I suppose that would have been good for you too at 15. You don't want to sit next to your dad when you're getting an awkward bono in the,
No,
in the
I
cinema.
sat next to my mum and dad and my uncle in Knocked Up, where you had the crowning scene.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
yeah.
That's fine, mate. We share a lot.
You would have been a bit older though. Then.
Yeah, you
Then
were
I was
older
fine. Then it was like, why are you going to the movies with your mum and your dad and your uncle? But that's a
Yeah.
different. That's fine.
But 50 years later, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you're taking them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of O'Neill reaction scenes that you were just saying before, how cool it was, he's really, really good at his sort of, when it's just him, whatever the reaction may be, he owns it. And my favourite of this whole episode was, and it's something that I've rewound many, many times because of how absolutely hilarious it is when he said, when they're just planning to go retake the Stargate, they've realised that he's a friend, and he's just like, all right, Daniel, you do this, rah, rah, rah. And he's like, all right, go with, what is your name anyway? And he's like, yeah. And he has this look of like, what the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you even say anything? He's making sounds.
yeah. And then he does that whole, and he looks like he's trying to take a deep breath and everything. He's like, Tyler. And you're like, yeah. But his reaction with all those things, however he does it, he is the master of it.
Yeah.
There's a reason his name is above the credits. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
What got you there?
it's like-
Comedic timing.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Well, he does that this episode.
It's
And
the
then,
inner monologue,
and then
right?
next week he just goes like
He's
full drama.
expressing it.
Like Red Sky next week he just goes full drama in that.
Yeah, it's sick.
Right.
So yeah, he definitely earns it. Like he's got a good range.
Yeah, it's that inner monologue when you're acting. It's kind of like you have to think and
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, but I'll
Yeah.
write down next to it what I'm actually
yeah,
thinking.
you need some subtext.
Could you
in
say,
your mind.
it's funny you say subtext. I was just about to say, do you mean something by subtext? Peter DeLuise, once again, bringing the goods, has a little bit of subtext for the scenes between Hammond and Frasier.
Good segue.
Anyone I send back to the planet would be compromised.
Now, this scene, I'm always giving them subtext for their scenes, what to play. And this scene, I told Don and Terrell both that this scene marks the beginning of their romantic relationship. And I think that they played it quite well.
I mean, I didn't want to spoil that for Rhys for when we get to that part of the series when, you know, Hammond and Frasier get together, but...
Got it on!
Got it on!
That's how Hammond says it.
They also go into the come explain room. It's like, after a debrief, he's like, Doctor, could I see you for a second?
For an examination.
I need to report
He just,
to the
you know,
infirmary.
his grandkids are always getting, you know, kidnapped, so he needs to make a few more backups. So...
Initiate some real wildfire.
So I just want to, again, talk about how there's 50 Jafar,
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, here we go.
but SG-1 didn't get a freaking scratch.
Oh, mate.
Because they're that good.
But they're up on the hill.
SG9 or
They're up on the
SG11.
hill, right? They're up on the hill. 30 Jafar come through the gate. Wouldn't they just be like, oh, there they are? Like, you can see them easily.
No, they're in camouflage and they're crouched down, man.
They're wearing the camo
Jackson-
gear, Brendan.
Yeah.
I love it.
Jafar don't have binoculars. He's got that big horn. That's all they've got.
I love it how they
Spaceships.
SG1 come back in to save
chainmail.
O'Neill and Tyler. They just come screaming in, shooting, and then
Who does?
cuts to Jackson in his do-rag.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like, he's just sprinting through with this with his sweet P90. I'm like, yeah, that's an archaeologist.
You went to the Indiana Jones School of Archaeology.
Yeah. You were arguing in season 1, but that's what we knew was coming.
Yeah, that's it.
At that
needs to be on the
moment,
team.
I thought to myself, has he done basic training?
Absolutely.
Surely.
How cool would that have actually, just thinking back to whatever that episode was where his girlfriend did get taken over, if you'd never get him, but Harrison Ford was his old mentor, and then you could have had a shared universe, like, oh shit, he got trained by Indiana Jones. That's why he's so
That's why
badass.
the Crystal Skull is shit.
It was taking a bad inspiration from SG. Oh, we can do aliens. No, shut up, George. No.
Now, we've spoken a lot about the Jafar, but we never actually find out who the Jafar belonged to in this episode. We actually find it later on. These are actually, based on the symbol on their head, they're actually the Jafar of Tilgath, who we never really actually see. The
Yeah, we
only
see
time,
him, but
the
he's
only
on the
time we
ground.
see him is the opening of Evolution when he's killed by the Cull Warriors. So it's just been
Ramius
this,
and Tilgath.
yeah. So it's just been
Yeah.
kind of open-ended up until then. But yeah, it turns out these were Tilgath's Jafar.
They look like testicles
Yeah, do a little.
on their head.
So I'll tell you my story, boys.
Oh.
So a couple of days ago, I went for a job interview at a place. I think it's a job that you used to do, Matty, reading the traffic for the radio stations.
Oh, good luck, mate.
And so anyway, I rock up to this job interview.
Out at Redcliffe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he sits me down. He's like, oh, let's just, what's the Rhys story? So I give him the lowdown. And he had this tattoo sleeve, whereas all the characters from Justice League all the way up his arm. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, I'm a bit of a comic book fan myself, comic book heroes and that sort of thing. He's like, oh, okay. So, and then was going on about what I do and blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, I actually do a podcast about Stargate, the old TV show. He goes, Stargate? I go, yeah, I know. It's actually got quite a big following still. And he goes, all right, here's your next interview question. Who invented the
Time to find out if Rhys has been paying attention.
Who invented the... Thanks for ruining my punchline.
Oh,
And he goes, oh, who originally invented the Nakwita generator? And I could not remember.
oh no.
And I was like, this is the highest stakes ever of Rhys been paying attention.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, and I sat there and I'm like, shit, I do not know. And I was thinking to myself, I know Carter had something to do with it, but And then I'm like, I can't just say nothing because he'll think that I'm just full of shit and I don't like
Yeah.
Stargate. And I'm like, oh, it wasn't the Tolan, was it? And he goes, no. And I'm like, oh, God.
It was Marin. There's a little girl, Marin.
Bloody
Yeah.
nanite head.
What were
Yeah.
their race called?
I don't know.
But anyway, I got the job, guys.
Oh, did you? Do you know? I think technically I still work there. Like I never actually got
Not
fired.
anymore, you don't.
Well, no, I never. I still have a key to the place. I never got fired. Like they were like I was doing weekends for a while, and the guy that hired me doesn't even work there anymore, so no one knows. I
Right.
think I'm still technically on the payroll. Like I never got like a separation certificate or anything.
I think
Yeah.
I've still got the keys to my old job too.
Yeah, well, they just kind of said, oh, when that old guy from like 4BC or 4BH came back a couple of years ago, they're like, oh, he wants to do live traffic. You're not quite there for that yet, so that we're gonna take you off your Saturday afternoons just for a couple of weeks. And he's like, well, don't worry, we'll put you back on, And then like 2 months later, like I still hadn't been put back on or
And we
anything.
never saw him again.
And then my boss, the Jace Barker, like he doesn't work there anymore. So it's like I still have a key and a I think valid code to the alarm system.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
But they never rang me to give it back, so it's sitting in a drawer somewhere.
As soon as you walked out, they're like, change the locks.
Loved it if your boss had have just gone, when you said Tolan, he would have gone, Rhys, your father made you wrong. Like, big fan.
Yeah.
Greatest.
I like how you said, you're like, I've got to say something, otherwise you'll think I'm lying. Like, you just went in, like,
Yeah.
just a random thing. You're like, oh, yeah, I did do a Stargate podcast. Like, you've just pulled out some weird reference. Like, you could have gone there, like, oh, yeah, I write a blog for Ben 10, you know? And he goes, oh, I'm going to, you know, and then he goes, I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm going to ask him some questions.
What's your favourite Ben 10 alien?
But then I'm like,
This is like, I wasn't prepared for a follow-up question.
so,
Ask me about rugby league.
Get Into Gate now brought to you by the Traffic Network.
Great people.
Great people.
ATN.
ATN, thank you very much.
You want to sponsor the show.
You know what? Stargate has such a broad fan base. It is unreal.
Yeah.
Like you're just saying that. One of my best mates, I was hanging out with last night. Such a lad. Wouldn't have ever expected him to watch the show. He said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to do a podcast that my brother and a few of the boys do." He's like, "Oh, okay. What is it?" I said, best show ever, but I don't know. I literally started with best show ever, but I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Stargate SG-1. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, bro." And he's like such a dude. I would never have expected. And he's like, I said, "Have you watched it?" He goes, "Mate, I have watched everything to do with Stargate ever." And he goes, I said, "Have you even seen Universe?" He goes, "Yeah, man."
Oh, no.
And he goes,
that wording is now, have you even seen Origins?
And then,
"Oh, you beat me to my punch."
Let someone tell a story.
Uninterrupted. Finish Jesus.
1 week you want me to contribute, next week, you know? All right.
For someone who hates being interrupted, Jesus.
Sorry, I'll just stick to yes and.
return serve!
Yes
been a
and.
great match.
15 love.
At least you're getting involved this week.
15 all.
Yes and.
But to touch on that, he goes, "Yeah, they're all awesome except for this one they've just made that looks like it has the budget of about $12." And I was like, "What is?" And he goes, "Yeah, I don't know. It's like the newest one." And I said, "Is it Origin?" He goes, "Yeah, that piece of shit." And I was like, "Oh, mate, you got to talk to the boys."
Let me show you a podcast.
Oh, have we got a podcast for you?
And he's like, "Oh, sick, man. That ruined everything." And I was like,
Well,
we
it didn't
can-
ruin it.
No, ruined the canon.
Yeah.
Of it. Like, it's
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's the problem. It didn't ruin the canon, and that's what makes it a piece of shit. Is that it fits in.
Yeah. Like 95%
Mind
of it.
control.
95% of it ruins the canon, and then 5% is just like, quick, how do we this over?
Yeah, it's like, let's make a show, and then the ending of it will render the whole show useless. Like, good pitch. Well done. Go write some more shit.
You still haven't seen it yet, have you, Link?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no
wise
need.
move. Don't do it.
Want to watch some grass grow.
Yes and.
Oh, tell me about it. Actually, you sent something through during the week, Brandon. I think what you were watching this episode, and you took a photo of the screen during the episode where they show. It wasn't that. He sent that photo on later. But it was during the video that they play back to. Who did they actually show? Carter, and it was like, here's your briefing. There's no Tyler in the
they
room,
showed
as you
Daniel.
said. Showed
Yeah.
Daniel, And they said, there's no Tyler in the room. He goes, oh, that could have been anything. They go, look at the time code.
Yeah.
And then that was the quote that you used, and the time code was 10/11/2001. So
Yeah.
October 11th, 2001, right? And
Yeah.
the day you were watching it was October 11th, obviously 2018, but it was just like this weird thing that we're actually
Creeped me
watching this.
out.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, do
He
you
goes,
know?
look at the time code, and I look like that, and I go,
Well, see, today.
Does that change every day I watch it?
No, see, the reason I went when I saw that is because that's actually an excerpt from Entity. That's when the little Entity video camera is watching them. So it's like, no, we've got to sit through Entity again. No, it's a flashback.
but that's the gag.
It's a clip show.
That's the gag where Daniel goes, that could be any briefing. Like, it was a different briefing.
Well,
you
given
know?
that this episode came out in like July, and then that time code is from October.
Yeah. But I like the idea that he's like, that could have been from anything. And then you cut in Ron Howard's narration from Arrested Development going, it was. We get it. Good. But then you also sent through a screenshot yesterday, and it was the guys over at Gatecast, and they put out a tweet saying happy birthday to Dion Johnstone, who plays Tyler, and it's his birthday. So not only are we watching an episode where they...
Sure.
Shaka.
And Shaka.
Yes, we did it.
Trifecta.
Go.
All right.
You're out of here.
Go on. You're gone. Go on.
The 11th of October is also Claudia Black's birthday, who plays Vala in seasons 9 and 10.
Stop who?
Shut up, mate.
No one cares.
That's
Valhalla.
Tilk's mate from a couple episodes ago.
Velour.
Like the fabric? I don't know.
What do you say?
And you know what else we should say? Today is the 14th of October. Happy birthday to Rhys Gibson.
Yeah, thanks, guys. 21
Mate,
plus 10.
above and beyond for this show, not only did you come in during your honeymoon to record some shows, you also come in on your birthday.
Yeah.
But can I just say,
birthday
Lincoln Lewis
BJs all
has
around.
come in 10 days before his birthday. So
Not all heroes wear capes, boys. Not all heroes wear capes.
You are wearing a cape.
yeah, but not all of them.
Some do. Some don't.
Call him Superman. I'm Spider-Man. Whatever.
We got you a stripper cake, guys. So it's Graham.
Oh, that's why he's wearing no pants. Yeah, that's why he had a trim.
That's why I was under the piano before. Crapping him.
Building the cake around him. It's more of a cupcake, isn't it?
No, it's a bunt cake.
Just adding some frosting, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
His stripper name is Mascarpone.
Yeah.
Well, I better loosen up my jaw. I guess it's birthday BJs all around then.
Alrighty.
Let's get out of here.
I changed my birthday to October as well. All right. It's time to find out if
Rhys has been paying attention.
30 seconds on the clock.
Oh, I hope this goes better than my job interview.
5 seconds. Who invented... No, I'm joking.
If you get it wrong, you're fired from the podcast.
Who invented the neck with a generator? No.
Carter.
No.
Incorrect. Your father made you wrong.
Okay,
You're fired.
the nano chick.
All right. Time starts at the end of this one. Lieutenant Tyler was actually an alien. What was the name of his race?
Oh, the bloody Real.
Correct. Where did Lieutenant Tyler say he was from?
Oh, bloody Texas.
Correct. What weapon did Tilk use during SG-1's ambush?
Cannon. Side
Correct.
cannon.
What is the name of the actor that plays Lieutenant Tyler?
Johnstone.
Correct. What was the name of the dipshit colonel in Bane?
What?
Bang. Colonel.
Come on, you know this. You're a true fan.
The only one. Dipshit Colonel.
Come on.
Colonel.
Come on.
Mustache.
Oh,
Colonel. Fucking.
no.
That
Mayborn.
was a throwaway. That was Mabel. That was
Is he a colonel?
Harry
Yeah.
Mabel.
Oh, Jesus.
God.
That's the third time you've had that question, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
I was wondering why you threw in a Bane question here.
Me
Like,
too.
if you're going to throw in a Bane question, throw it in Rite of Passage in a couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
He had so much time up his sleeve, too.
We've never called him Colonel Mayborn.
I had
You've had
enough
that
time.
question 3 times.
Okay, obviously I don't pay attention.
I was hoping you'd say Simmons.
Fucking hell.
Rhys,
It was on my...
father made you wrong.
I nearly said Simmons.
You stupid son of a bitch.
You actually had that much time up your sleeve that I was like, Jesus, I better go to a different page with my hotkeys to get a big celebration, like cheering and bells ringing sound effect that I don't have ready, and it was taking time to load. I'm like, that's all right, Rhys has come through for me.
Believe me, I felt how much time I had left.
The clock doesn't matter, bro.
Like, I didn't think you could be more wrong than wrong, but I was about 10 seconds more wrong.
And Brendan even had like short, concise questions. He didn't have like these long ass questions that took up all your time either.
Could have Googled the episode as well.
You literally had time to Google the episode.
Absolutely.
You had time to flick back through
I
your
could have
notes.
been flicking through my book. Bloody hell.
All right, that's episode
Jesus.
93.
Can't get 5 every week, boys. Or any weeks, really.
Of Get Into Geek, talking the Fifth Man. We will be back next week to talk Red Sky on the next Get Into Geek episodes. Until then, you can check out all of our old podcasts if you are new to the show. It's all this kind of fun and much more for the last 92 plus episodes. Search Get Into Geek, a Stargate podcast on your favourite podcasting channel. You can like, subscribe, follow, share all of our gear on the socials, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And you can find us all individually as well. My name is Mitch. I'm _Lewis at Twitter and Instagram. Maddie, where you at?
At High Pitch Maddie.
Brendan.
I'm at the Bren Gibson.
Rhys, you're wrong at...
I am at the Flying Gibson for Australian Traffic Network.
Oh, hang on. Whoa.
Hey, hold the phone.
Say that again without me interrupting. I apologise. I didn't realise you were going to put on a radio voice.
Again, you're in the chopper.
I am at the Flying Gibson for the Australian... I am okay, I'm sacked. I'm getting blown on while I'm working.
Mother.
And Lincoln.
Oh, it is whatever you want it to be. At Link_Lewis. I almost forgot that.
We'll work on your name, mate,
Yeah,
between
yeah.
now and next week.
I
That's
always
fine.
want like because you guys. I always said after you guys. I'm gonna say the.
Yeah.
And I've done it that many times. I've reached this
Totally.
point where I'm like almost in the fetal position before saying. I'm like, get it right.
I want you to...
Your father made you wrong.
I want it to affect you so badly so that when you actually go, like, after one of our records, go and introduce yourself to someone, they're like, oh, hi, I'm Greg. What's your name? The Link?
The missing link.
We will be back next week to talk Red Sky. Until then, we'll see you later. Bye.
GetIntoGeek.com.